Welcome to another episode of Treatings. Hope everybody's well. The first thing we're going to speak about today is the recent terror event in Berlin on the weekend just gone and how it links to London. And next we're going to just sort of speak on why I believe London needs to be pedestrianised in the central region, or should be, on grounds of safety. And just lastly, just how how the system moves in and around disaster response is going to be spoken about lastly. Anyway, let's start off. Let's get straight into this. Right, so just wanted to give my opinion on the events on the weekend. It was a wicked thing, I believe. Just to start off, these people had no chance of defending themselves. It puts the frighteners on anybody that has crowds of people in city centres. Obviously, looking towards Christmas in a few months' time, 4, 5, 6 months' time, especially in a place like Germany, they're going to begin to worry and think, is this going to be repeated, this type of, or is it going to be copycatted by someone else continuing the trend? And I think it links to London because if something happens in a major city in Europe, normally it's repeated across other built-up places. So chances are, if it's happening in one capital city in Europe, it's going to happen in another. If bombs go off in one city, it's going to happen in another. Very, very high probability in terms of threat level, right? Now, coming from where I come from, I must be honest, man, I felt a bit sorry for these people because instantly, like I said in my last video, people shield people, right? I can only imagine the amount of wicked things that people have said online that I've not seen, I'm not privy to. I don't really look on forums and stuff like that, because coming from the area, just urban city or whatever, I'm not going to say this set of guys or whatever, just the area I come from, people that are gay or whatever, they get a lot of criticism, a lot of they should all die and all this sort of stuff, and a lot of do you know what I mean? It's really, really bad. It's worse than racism, I would say. Do you know what I mean? Tenfold, yeah, in terms of the abuse that they can take from time to time. And it's from different levels of society. It's not a thing where it's just poor or maybe people that are lacking in education. Could be those that are highest in society that have a problem with people that have decide to be or go a certain way, So that's what makes it hard to navigate. And there's some people that will say just some wicked things from all walks of society about these people, yeah. Now, obviously, I'm gonna say my bit. I don't sort of people walking around swinging their bits and pieces in the middle of city centres when there's kids around and stuff like that on events. Just by chance, I was up there a couple of weekends ago, and there was a massive event, sort of gay pride or whatever. I didn't really see anything. I was just walking through, just going to a bookshop and that. And it seems like everyone was having fun or whatever. And to me, I'm just at this stage, let these people have their day. Let them have their time. That's what they want to do. Then each to their own. Just if you don't get me involved, that's all good. But just let these people have their time, man, because I feel like it's wicked. Do you know what I mean? To go out there and take out another human being based on what that's about, I think it's utter wickedness. However, coming from the area that I come from, or just the background I've come from, I know some of the things that people think and say about that group or that section of the community is not very nice, right? And I could tell like a lot of people might not have felt a lot of sympathy for them, but from a human perspective, I felt like a little bit of sympathy for these people, because you're there partying, next minute you don't know what's happening, 29 of you are injured, one's passed away, could have been a lot worse. Also, future events now are under, not threat, but they're under worry, you know. Maybe you may get less turnout. It obviously trickles on to Christmas events, and could it be something else happens now later on in the year, towards the new year, Christmas festivities and stuff like that. There's a lot to sort of think and worry about for authorities, not just in Germany but in Europe, because, you know, things start to trend, and, you know, it's a matter of time. If they continue in one city and don't nip it in the bud, it can obviously spread to other cities, man, become viral, you know, and just other people could be attempting to do certain things with high powered vehicles, you know. So, yeah, I just wanted to reiterate, yeah, I saw that as absolutely, you know, it was a wicked thing, a cruel thing to do, you know. But what can you do to prevent it? I think we'll try and cover this next. Anyway, yeah, once again, just like condolences to all those people injured. And yeah, you know, the reason I was inspired to make this video was because just today I see a gathering of people in the West End, just as I was coming out of sort of just a shop, and yeah, I saw that it was about sort of remembering or just showing solidarity to what happened on the weekend. And obviously the London Mayor was there as well, so I thought I'd just give it a little speak on, you know. But yeah, it was absolute wickedness, I thought. Anyway, let's move on to the next thing. Right, so today now, I came to the West End, and as I came to the West End, Tottenham Court Road, I looked down the Oxford Street, and I could see both sidewalks, unusually, were just like full to the rafters. Like there was not a space. Going back maybe 100, 200 meters as you peer down the road, and it was a bit sort of misty, humid, yeah, from the weather, but you could just see the heat rising from people's heads, the people walking, hustle and bustle basically, and literally both pavements were full of people, you know. Now, you know, cities change, things change, right? 100 years ago, you know, city centres had horses walking around, and that's all you had to worry about, yeah. Fast forward now, you've got a multiplication of like much more people, I'm sure, in higher concentrated areas. Yeah, cities aren't seeming to get bigger, they're getting smaller in a funny way because of the people that are concentrated in and around them, right? Like you've just got more people circling around the city, but then you've also got more high-powered vehicles, more buses, more scooters, more electric bikes that can cause serious damage. So you've got a lot more going on, and all of these vehicles, all of these contraptions, like they are, like they can obviously, if misdirected, can cause an issue, you know. So for me, like Oxford Street today was heaving, you know, it was absolutely heaving, right? So for me, right about now, I read an article like the mayor was looking to pedestrianise the central Oxford Street and all the rest of it, and I said something like that in another video, and I just believe like it should be pedestrianised on the side of caution and safety. They should look to pedestrianise it. Yeah, like, you know, London wasn't built, it was built for taking lots of visitors, lots of people, but now at the proportion that it's at now, I would say like there has to be a certain part of the city that is pedestrianised, that you can walk around, that's quite busy. You know, I don't know whether the businesses will like it. Maybe they can come in at a certain hour, which is like after 10 in the night till 6 in the evening, then come out or whatever at less busier periods. But I feel like just thousands of people walking around with vehicles going past them at all types of different speeds and all types of different vehicles. You know, God forbid you don't want anything to happen, but I feel like something preemptive measures do need to be made. And I feel like a pedestrianisation would be the thing, would be the one, you know, of the city centre. You know, I'm not sure who's going to like it. I'm not sure who's going to love it, but I feel like it's time, like the centre part of London, because of just, you know, pedestrians as a group are very, very vulnerable. And something only needs to happen once. Yeah, it can go 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years. It only has to happen once. And it's remembered for eternity. People lose people and they never forget it, you know. So, yeah, I would definitely say, like, sometimes I walk past certain places and I observe and I feel like, right, you should get the bollards up here. Or at least have them in place in case of an emergency. That's what I think, you know. So, yeah, I think it's time to, like, upgrade and, potentially just, like, scale back a bit in terms of vehicles and just not letting anything sort of move around that's not on 2 feet or in a wheelchair, you know, around the centre part of London. Anyway, let's move on to the next thing. And the final thing I wanted to speak about was disaster response. And just like, I thought about this deeply and I thought like, maybe like, you know, like as a species and as groups of humans, maybe we're not as proactive as we like to think we are. Like we like to say that we prevent things from happening, but really possibly we don't. Because if you do try and prevent things from happening all the time, it means you'll cover all bases, right? You'll cover everything just slightly. But then when the real emergency happens, if you do that, you won't be able to react to it because you've spread yourself far and wide and too thinly, right? So I'm thinking like maybe as groups here, we're used to reacting because we don't know whether there's going to be an earthquake. We don't know whether there's going to be a hurricane, typhoon, anything can happen, right, in this world. So what happens if we try and prepare for a hurricane, but then it's an earthquake? You try and prepare for an earthquake, it's a typhoon. Do you know what I mean? Each presents its own elements of danger and its own sort of hurdles to get over and prepare for and maybe react to, you know? So you have to be prepared and flexible to go any way, which way that it happens. So sometimes being ready for absolutely everything means you're ready for nothing. And maybe like we've already figured this out as a species that you don't be proactive, you be reactive. And how I'm trying to link this is that you see the government, the UK government, for me, they're very, very reactive. Like they don't, and maybe I just think it could be nature, it could be human nature to not, because we can see potentially a civil war, right? We can potentially see like significant civil disobedience in the imminent future, yeah? We can see potentially like where, it's just not me, you can see where there could be a terrorist incident just waiting to happen, yeah, right? You can see all these dangers, but they don't do nothing about it. They react to it. So all I want to say to people, especially minorities, guarding their communities, right? Take it whichever way you want to take it. And I mean like anybody that sees a minority or community that could be targeted, right? It seems as though the government, but I think it's, and I'm not saying like Labour, I don't mean it like that. I just mean the governmental system, the social system that we've got here in this world right now, where we're situated just now, right? They seem to react. Everything is off of reaction. They need to see people die or people, or they need to have an attack in order to make something secure. It's like that's it. They wait for something to happen and then respond to it. that's how I see the UK go, and it's dangerous. Like, you keep telling them like this is gonna happen, this is gonna happen, but they don't actually do anything until something happens. Only when a big event happens do they come and do what they should have been doing in the first place, if they're doing a good job. But other than that, they wait for something to happen. And I'd say in my personal life, I'm a bit like that. I react to things. I don't really like prepare. I don't think ahead with certain things. But then when you react to something, it means you can react with like the full weight of your attention and the full weight of an emergency. Yeah. So like in a funny way, like they'll come and deal with the issue a lot better if something happens. But the fact is, when something does happen, the damage that is taken then is not forgotten, and people are blamed, and there's a lot of going and backwards and forwards and whatever else, right? But yeah, just the way that I see it is that there's so many problems in this world. You fix one, there's another. You patch out one hole, there's a leak somewhere else. Yeah, you just can't stop it. Yeah, you're juggling so many different issues and problems, right? So I just think the way the government is configured, it's to react to major emergencies or major disaster issues, but take the collateral damage of the people that get hurt and maybe possibly killed and cold, but react to it. So it doesn't really put you in good stead sometimes, but I just feel like that is the way of the world. Yeah, they wait for something to happen, then react. Because if they go and get proactive, yeah, it's just not the way. It's just not the way. I don't think it's the way that things work. I think they just like, we have to, it's life, yeah, you just have to accept it. You tell them something's going to happen, something could happen, you warn, and they do put little measures incrementally over time. But the only time something happens, the only time something moves is when existence, or there's a real serious threat to life as we know it, something happens. Other than that, they don't seem to be too forward thinking or too quick to come and help, and it almost wants me to give the advice, not that I should be, of like, you need to be community leaders within their community minorities, need to be preparing for a disaster response themselves, But again, it's not even in your nature, because your nature is to react and slowly prepare, yeah, right? But there's nothing like reacting, the feeling, the response, and also when something does happen, like it can't be recreated in a sense like all hands to the pump, like everyone's going in one direction to stop the emergency, yeah, or the issue, yeah. Like it can't be recreated. It can't just be, even if it's spoken about again and again and again. People need to see something happen to deliver that sense of urgency to fix the actual problem. The only thing is, when that problem does occur, it's the damage limitation and the damage control of that actual outburst, yeah. So it just leads me to believe, like, you've got like communities saying like, we're under threat. And it's sad to say, man, sorry to say this, yeah, like something might happen before they come and do something. And it's just the way things are. It's just the way of the world. It's a phenomenon that can't be explained. But I feel like human beings, they react to certain issues rather than let's keep ourselves safe, like we like to say, But then when they do react, the issue is dealt with harshly and sharply, i.e., you had like, say, 9/11 or whatever, not to say it was dealt with, but a week or so later, or whatever it was, the American forces were mobilized looking for the heart of the issue, went straight to the country and obviously fired back, and maybe in doing so put them on the back foot and thwarted many attempts. You don't know if they never did that and never had the military prowess to go across the world and sort of narrow down who was responsible. They could have continued coming to America, and you saw like America, they then, people don't know, like before like 2001, you can go to America easy. Yeah, I would have gone to America by now with all the problems I've had here. Easy, I would have took a flight and gone. They speak my language, I would have gone straight, right? But you can't get in there so easy now, and that's all because of 2001. If they were doing that 5 years earlier, they may have avoided. And it was for somebody to have the foresight to see that. But then, what made them respond and react as they should have been doing in the first place? It was they had to see like a cataclysmic event happen in order to do things properly. And do you know what? No matter what, 20 years on, no matter how much you tell someone, you warn someone, until something happens, like people don't react. Yeah, you know what I mean. So it's just a phenomenon like that can't be explained. Do you know what I mean? So sometimes your complaints, yeah, man, in a funny way, man, they're going on deaf ears, and they respond when something happens, and it's hard to take. And it's getting better over time, but maybe it's just a human nature thing. Anyway, let's move on to the conclusion. So, in conclusion, the events of the weekend in Europe, Germany, and also France as well, they should serve as like reminders to like London what could happen here. Because they're every bit just as populous in terms of people, similar demographics increasingly. So why should it not merry-go-round and go to London, Madrid and places like that, So it's a concern, it's a worry, and it does obviously link, you watch what happens in Germany, the main city there, they watch what happens here, They've got a financial market hub. You've got a financial hub. You've got so many details, so much infrastructure, so much history, so much culture that is so similar, even though you may speak different languages, and what happens there happens here, fashion, everything. So why should it not be mimicked the terrorist events? It should go in line. It's a metropolis. There's lots of people highly concentrated. Also, there's lots of people unaccounted for running around London, as we know. So it's a lottery that can be won and lost, or the ticket can be bought in absolutely anywhere. So it can link and spread to London definitely, which we hope not. And coming towards the back end of the year, you've got your events and whatever else. So, yeah, it's a worry, it's a concern, right, for those in charge. Just next. I feel like central London may need to be pedestrianised during busy hours when people are just walking the streets. You got high-powered vehicles going up and downwards. Yes, there are cameras that pick up vehicles, but, an unmarked vehicle from Europe can just drive through the city doing anything it wants. You've got lots and lots. Let me give it straight. You've got millions of like people walking around unprotected, whilst like high-powered vehicles are cruising by. 100 years ago, it wasn't that way. There wasn't as many people, and there wasn't the type of technology in terms of vehicles, hard vehicles that can cause damage to people, And I feel like it's negligent against the people. It's a foreseeable negligence, You should see it. But once again, leading on to my next point, they wait for something to happen. They wait for somebody to mount a pavement, and take people out. And then they respond to it. Then the bollards go up. then the control goes in, then they check every vehicle that comes in and out or whatever, and do what they should be doing. Only then they somehow find the funds and find the money, find the time, find the manpower, find the impetus to do these things. They don't do them unless something happens. But me, gazing at my human nature to react just goes against and grazes against and thinks, hold on a sec, I've got the ability to think here. You know what, like safety, forget about money and whatever else and all the rest of it. Just that once I need to make sure that, what can we do here to make it as safe as possible for these people to walk around? Because, you had a terror plot on the other day, man. What if multiple vehicles decide to do what they want to do in London all at the same time? They can just drive into the city from absolutely anywhere in the world, let alone Europe, So I feel like, yeah, man, where there's the most people gathered is the most vulnerability for a mass event to happen. Therefore, certain precautions need to be taken in terms of like securing these people for a future event to be missed or not to happen in the first place. So what like a lot of people don't do, like they don't go and explain these things. I would if I was the political godfather, I would explain these things as to why you can't drive around the city, as to why certain vehicles are banned, and as to why like certain precautions in terms of bollards that can just be laying underground and can erect up or whatever, so when there's events on, everybody's protected, because it's just not like it's kids, everything. Do you know what I mean? There's all sorts of people running around the West End, man, and they deserve to be given a chance, or to give no chance to a completely crazed person to go and just do as they wish. Right now, there's too much room for like somebody that's just off their head and just crazy and not even religious, nothing, just deciding to do what they want to do one day, and just there's too much scope for that. How about like a situation where there's no chance someone can do that, or if they do, it's the damage is minimal, their vehicle would be destroyed or wouldn't be able to get through to these people in the first place. I would say the people deserve that type of protection, especially around central London, because with me, like, I see it like I want to bring the billionaires in. I want to make it so like that's my fantasy for. So like I'd want to make it so like somebody's very affluent, footballers, movie stars, billionaires can walk from Oxford Street to Knightsbridge and feel comfortable. At the moment, I don't think every single one of them can do that. That is not obviously on the TV or a household name, but you'd like to think just the average powerful person can do that, and some of them do, but then just in pure and utter safety, man. Do you know what I mean? Because all these other levels are going up in society. How about safety of city centres, man? Because the whole world is coming to look at London. It's like the capital of Europe. All eyes on. It should be a lot safer, And, you should be future-proofing the city, because like, you're getting warnings from like Europe. Yeah, it's a matter of time before the demographics are changing as we speak, and you're allowing people to obviously come into the country that are, you don't know whether he's a doctor, in his country. You don't know whether he's a rapist in his country. You don't know the difference. You don't know, and you don't know. Yeah, right. So, that being said, extra precautions, and explain why, You should be able to deliver certain reasons as to why, and the people will understand if it causes an issue or a disruption within the city, because obviously building and maintenance and so on and so forth, it can disrupt the city. But long and short of it, London should be, certain parts of London where there's massive crowds should be looking towards pedestrianisation, and also the sort of controlling of these highly powered sort of electric bikes and scooters, mopeds, things that are powerful speed and whatever, and they can just go up on a pavement and knock an old person down. These things need to be looked at, man. Because it's quite intimidatory sometimes. I'm thinking, like, for an older person, like, to come around the city centre because of these things flying around. They just come out of nowhere, you know, out of nowhere, literally, right? You know, so it's not good, you know, it's not good. You know what I mean? Sometimes the world has moved too fast for itself in certain places, and I think this is it, like, with certain vehicles flying around everywhere. You know, I know, like, food delivery might love it, but you know, the average person walking around the city don't really check for it sometimes. But I understand people need to make a living. I respect that. But there has to be some sort of stricter guideline or regulation, you know, no matter how much money's involved in the industry, because I think that's what the blocker is sometimes, man. Just like, what we don't know, like, but bigger heads than you or I just get together, and I think it's sometimes just the money and the can we stop this and whatever else, you know. But anyway, that brings this episode to its end. Once again, deliver this message straight to your heart because it's from mine. All right, take care. God bless. Love. One.